Hey everyone, and welcome. In our digital world, it can really feel like we're constantly under siege from all these threats we can't even see. But here's the thing. For every chaotic attack out there, there's a structured defense designed to stop it. Today, we're going to break down the world of cybersecurity, from the bad guys toolkit to the professional's playbook, and most importantly, what it all means for you. Okay, let's get into it. So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by getting a handle on just how big this problem is in our super connected world. Then we'll take a peek inside the cybercriminal's toolkit. After that, we'll flip the script and look at the solution, how the pros build a digital fortress. And finally, we'll wrap up with the crucial role that you play in all of this.
So first up, just how big is this problem really? It's so easy to think of cybercrime as this abstract thing that happens to other people, or some massive corporation you see on the news. But the truth is, it's a lot closer to home than you might think.
Okay, check out this number. Over 300,000. That's how many websites were reported hacked in just one country, India, over just a 2-year span. What this really drives home is that these attacks aren't just isolated incidents. It's a constant, widespread barrage hitting digital infrastructure of all shapes and sizes, all the time.
But why? Why does this happen so much? Well, it's not just about code, it's about people. The motivations are all over the map. Sometimes it's the obvious stuff, like a quick payday. Other times it's personal, like revenge. It can even be about national security with cyber espionage. And for some folks, believe it or not, it's just for the fun of it, or for the bragging rights. The anonymity of the web can make it all feel like a game with no consequences.
So, keeping those motivations in mind, let's look at the actual weapons being used in this digital war. Because to really understand how to defend ourselves, we've got to understand what we're up against. So, what are these tools and methods they're using?
First, we've got the classic, the virus. And you should really think of it just like a biological virus. It needs a host, something to latch onto to survive and spread. It attaches itself to a totally normal program or file, and the moment you run that file, the virus wakes up and starts doing its dirty work.
Next up is the worm. Now this one's a little different, a little scarier, maybe. A worm doesn't need to hitch a ride on a program. It's a standalone piece of code that can copy itself and travel across networks all on its own, usually by finding little security holes to wiggle through. Its main purpose in life is just to multiply, which can completely overwhelm and choke an entire network. And then there's the Trojan horse. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like, straight out of the old myth. It's all about deception. It pretends to be useful software, maybe a cool game or a handy utility. But once you let it inside your walls, once you install it, it secretly opens up a back door, giving an attacker a wide-open invitation to your system.
So who are the people actually using these tools? It's really important to know that they're not all the same. First, you have the white hat hackers. These are the good guys, the ethical hackers who get paid to find security flaws for companies can fix them. Then you have the black hats, or crackers. They're the ones exploiting those flaws for their own selfish reasons. And somewhere in the middle, you've got gray hats. They operate in a moral gray area. They'll find a vulnerability and then offer to fix it for a price.
Okay, so we've seen the threats, we've met the attackers. It's a lot, right? It can feel pretty overwhelming. But now, we're going to flip the script. Let's look at how the professionals fight back. Not with more chaos, but with a structured, organized plan.
And that's the fundamental question, isn't it? You can't just react to every single little thing. You'll go crazy. You need a strategy. And that's where professional frameworks come into play, like the one from NIST. It breaks defense down into 5 core jobs. Identify your risks, protect your systems, detect when something bad happens, respond to the attack, and recover your operations.
And this quote, it absolutely nails the mindset. This isn't just an IT problem anymore, it's a leadership problem. It's a business problem. That's the whole philosophy behind frameworks from places like the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST. They give organizations a kind of blueprint, a playbook for building a pro-level defense. All right, so let's start building that fortress. Using those ideas from the NIST framework, we can boil down a good defense into a few core strategies that are actually pretty easy to understand. It all begins with knowing what you've got to protect and then, building the walls. Our very first strategy is all about controlling the gates. We're calling it managing access. This lines up perfectly with the protect function in that NIST framework. It's all about making sure only the right people get in and that they can only do the right things.
So what does that look like in the real world? It comes down to having some seriously strict rules. Every single new account needs to be approved. You're constantly monitoring what all those accounts are up to. The moment an employee leaves, boom, their access is cut off immediately. You make sure people get logged out automatically if they're inactive, and this one's huge. You get rid of shared accounts, so every single action can be traced back to one person.
Okay, on to strategy 2, system monitoring. This is the detect part of our framework. I mean, you can have the strongest walls in the world, but you still need guards on them, right? Someone on the lookout for trouble. That is exactly what system monitoring is. It's your digital watchtower.
And this works in a continuous cycle. You're always reviewing system logs, hunting for anything that looks out of place, like a login attempt at 3 a.m. from a country you don't do business in. Then you report those findings to the right people, and based on that, you adjust. Maybe you learn about a new threat and decide to monitor for it more closely. It's a living, breathing defense.
But let's be real. What happens when an attacker actually gets through? That's where strategy 3 comes in, incident response. This covers the last 2 phases of the NIST framework, respond and recover. You have to have a crystal clear plan for what to do the second a breach happens, because panicking is not a strategy.
A really good plan covers all the bases. Everybody in the company needs to know how to spot something suspicious and who to tell. You need a plan for public relations because your reputation is on the line. And of course, you need automated tools that can help you slam the door shut quickly to contain the damage.
Now, I know that all sounds pretty corporate, but this isn't just about big organizations. Every single one of us has a role to play in this. So let's bring these big ideas down to a personal level. How can you be the first line of defense? It starts with the absolute basics. Passwords. We all know what weak ones look like. They're predictable. They're simple. A strong password, on the other hand, is long and complex. But it doesn't have to be impossible to remember. The best trick is to use a memorable phrase. Monday is the worst day of the week for me becomes that jumble of letters and numbers you see there. Easy for you, a total nightmare for a computer.
But honestly, even better than a strong password is a second layer of defense. It's called two-step verification, and it means that even if someone steals your password, they still can't get in without a special code that gets sent to your phone. It is single-handedly one of the most effective things you can do to protect your accounts. Just go to your security settings and turn it on.
And that really brings us to the most important point of this whole thing. Cybersecurity is not somebody else's problem. From the top floor of a global corporation running a professional defense framework, all the way down to you enabling two-step verification on your email account, security is a shared responsibility. We are all links in the chain.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. As our world gets more and more connected, creating new doors and windows for attack every single day, we have to ask ourselves, is this a race we can ever actually win? Or is the real goal just to stay one step ahead in a race that never, ever ends? Something to chew on. Thanks for watching.